Hello, my name is Nicole, and if you don't know by now, I am an elementary art teacher offering full choice and embracing the teaching for artistic behavior, or TAB philosophy. And right now I'm on this mission to get choice into as many classrooms as possible and provide it to as many kids as possible. So I'm doing that with some open-ended demonstrations on this channel, but I'm also going to be adding some informative videos for teachers as well. So if you are a choice teacher or you're just interested in starting a choice practice, please give this video a like and share it with anyone who you think would benefit from this information. So in this video, I'm going to talk about assessment specifically. I think assessment is one of those things that really, people really can't wrap their head around, specifically when talking about a choice environment. And I think that is for a lot of reasons. I think first of all, assessing art is kind of difficult to begin with. I think we struggle with that across the board, no matter what philosophy we adhere to. However, with choice specifically, it becomes a little bit more abstract and hard to figure out, because we suddenly have 25 different artworks, right, that we have to figure out how to assess. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to assess, how I do it in my classroom, and I think the way that I have this set up, it is possible to use this model in any classroom, even if you're DBA or more traditional style of art education, and I think you can use this model no matter what grade level you're teaching as well. So I like to think of assessment in terms of a pyramid, both in how the assessments relate to one another and in terms of frequency, so how often you're going to be doing these types of assessment. So at the bottom of the pyramid is your observations, and you will be observing all the time. So observations don't always get the credit they deserve. Our admin doesn't want to rely just on your observations, unfortunately, but observations, by observing, you're going to collect so much valuable information, and you will be doing it constantly. You're going to notice the engagement levels, the weaknesses, the strengths of individual kids, but also classes as a whole. And those observations are going to inform your next level, your formative assessments. So when you are observing in your classroom while the kids are working during discussions, take notes, keep them in a safe spot. So I have grade books or rosters, and I have my class roster, and then just some information about students like IEPs, and on each roster I keep notes, right? Some things that are really important, some things I notice, some things that are going to inform my instruction going forward. So observe and take notes. So the second tier of your pyramid is going to be your formative assessments. So when it comes time to formatively assess, you're going to want to think back to the things that you noticed when you're observing. If there are particular weaknesses that you need to collect more information on, that's where your formative assessments will come in. And then also think about your standards and your objectives. So what is it that you need to know about your students? What is it they need to know about art and art making? And you're going to formatively assess that. So I do a lot of exit slips. So I have just small whiteboards that I keep in our communal area, and at the end of class, sometimes I'll have them write down something they learned, or just a few notes about the demonstration for that day. I also use a lot of peer critiques as formative assessments. So I do the art hamburger. So write one thing that you like about this work. The middle part, the patty, is a suggestion, and then the bottom bun is another thing that you like about this work. So peer critiques. And then also I do a lot of polls in my classroom. So I use the magnets. So each kid has an art number, and I have a magnet for each art number. And then when they're lining up on their way out the door, they move their magnet to indicate their level of understanding or their experience for that day, just as another way for me to collect information. So exit slips, peer critiques, self-assessments are all really great and intuitive ways to formatively assess in a choice classroom. So at the top of your pyramid, you have your summative assessments. So I stick to 3 main summative assessments in my classroom. I have artist statements, I have portfolios, digital portfolios, so we use Artsonia. So I have the kids, it's a requirement that they upload at least 2 artworks to their portfolio, one at the beginning of the year and one at the end of the year. Now most students will upload way more than that throughout the course of the year, but as a requirement, at least 2, 1 at the beginning, 1 at the end, so that I'm able to observe growth or a lack of growth. So portfolios, and lastly, I don't assess student artwork. I believe that's for them to do. So they assess their own artwork using a rubric, and when you're developing a rubric, I highly suggest that you make a rubric that you can use for all media, all artworks. It's universal in your classroom. That way the students become familiar with it, but also it makes it easier for you. So I will include a link in the description to that form, or to that rubric, excuse me. So I use, my rubric is based on the Studio Habits of Mind. But you need to decide what it is that's important to you and what you want to make sure that your kids are developing when they're working on their art. So the number one thing that you should think about when you are deciding on your summative strategies, and also kind of your formative strategies as well, is manageability. So if you are at the elementary level, chances are you have tons of students, right? I have 600 plus students, so you need to make sure that it's manageable. So I usually only get 1, maybe 2 summative assessments per 9 weeks. Anything more than that, I find really takes away from my ability to provide instruction and to engage with them while they're working and provide in-process feedback. So I focus on 1, maybe 2. If you have older kids, you might be able to get more than that depending on your prep time and the amount of students that you have. So I want to mention 2 other things that are part of my assessment strategy. The first one is have-tos, or things that the kids have to do to unlock a certain center. So when you're deciding if and what skills you want to assess as have-tos, think about the things that are necessary, 100% necessary for a student to work at a certain center. So for me right now, I'm sticking to 2. So for the Fiber Art Center, it's tying a knot. I just don't have the time to tie knots all class long, right? So if you want to work at the Fiber Art Center, I have to see that you know how to tie a knot from the get-go. So they tie a knot, tape it on a piece of scrap paper, write their name. Okay, Fiber Arts is now unlocked for you. And the second center I have is for clay. They have to show me how to slip and score. So I teach pinch pots and coil pots and that kind of thing, obviously the skills. However, I notice that a lot of my kids want to go right into making people or characters or something, right, that requires them to know how to slip and score. So that is a must for that center. So I know this seems like a lot, like you'll never stop assessing. However, most of these types of assessment are just natural parts of the art making process. Portfolios, artist statements, peer critiques, those are things that are just kind of naturally occurring when you have an authentic art making process and you run your classroom like a studio instead of a classroom. So I think you'll find that it's not as difficult as it seems when you're assessing. It is just a part of the art making process. It's just natural, it's intuitive, so it doesn't feel like there's a lot of extra work. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about assessment, please leave a comment and I will get back to you with the answer as soon as possible. Also, I will provide some links to different documents, assessment strategies, that kind of thing in the description, so make sure to check that out too. So again, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye.